Good afternoon and welcome to League Cup action as Newcastle United host Manchester City at the Gateshead International Stadium. There are 19 league places separating these two sides, who are just one division apart. City, 4 times winners of the competition. They beat Everton in their first group stage game. Newcastle come into this one with work to do if they are to progress to the next round. A 2-1 defeat against Nottingham Forest means their hopes of qualifying hang by a thread. Nottingham Forest and Everton, the other two sides in this group. City were victorious over Everton in their first game as the teams emerge from the tunnel. A great sense of maybe anticipation rather than expectation from the home fans. They're yet to win at the Gateshead International Stadium. They made it their home ground at the start of this season. Head coach Becky Langley saying that she prefers to play on an all-grass surface. However, her side yet to make that advantage count this season. A victory today will be one of the shocks of the past decade in this competition. City know what it takes to get all the way to the final. Newcastle qualifying from the group would equal their best ever finish in this tournament. As we head through the pre-match rituals, City come into this one in good form. 5 wins in a row for the Sky Blues, including one in the Cup. And last time out, it was dramatic, wasn't it? That 2-1 win at Anfield against Liverpool, just to put them in touching distance of the top of the WSL. So this is how the two sides line up. Both managers opting to make the changes, starting with the hosts. Sees Claudia Moan returning goal. Wardlaw, Gregory and Body also come into the side. Maybe a bold move from Becky Langley. She looks to switch to a back 4 after that 2-2 draw last time out. Savenius and Gregory play either side of top goal scorer Emily Murphy, who will lead the attack this afternoon. As for Manchester City, plenty of changes for them as well, but still a wealth of experience of Andre Yegler to call upon. Keating returns in goal. Lazel, Pryor, Combs, Lohman all start as well. Firgina scored a late winner last time out against Liverpool. She returns to the starting 11 on the wing. Top scorer Bunny Shaw leads the Manchester City attack. Both sides just going through their final preparations as the captains meet on the halfway line. Stacey Fullix is the referee in charge of proceedings this afternoon, as the captains Demi Stokes, Laura Coombs, who know each other very well, share a handshake. Demi Stokes, of course, leaving Manchester City at the end of the 2024 season to join Newcastle United after spending almost a decade in East Manchester. The sides swap ends ahead of kickoff. Maybe a little bit of mind games going on in the early stages. Firgina certainly knows where the back of the net is. 2 goals so far this season, including that winner last time out for the Japanese international. What a signing she has proved to have been, and what a shot Newcastle United will look to spring this afternoon. Again, only a win will be good enough to see them have any chance of qualifying for the knockout stages of the competition. Only top spots in the groups will qualify. Manchester City with 3 points here could maybe put 1 foot in that round. It's currently goal difference between themselves and Nottingham Forest that keeps them top of the group table. How they would look to keep that positive start going in the northeast this afternoon. Almost ready to get things going here. Ball resting on the centre spot as Newcastle will get us underway in the early stages of this one. They've only met 3 times before these. Manchester City won on 2 occasions. They drew the other, but the Sky Blues have scored 11 goals in just 3 games against the side from the northeast. But it's hosts who look to get on the front foot early on. The ball seems to just take a ricochet off of Leah Wahabi in the left-back position. She tussles for the possession again. Eventually, Manchester City will let that run out for a goal kick and a first touch for Kiara Keating, back in the side this afternoon. She's sat on the bench for the last couple of games in the league as Ayaka Yamashita has been the preferred choice for Andrea Yeglets in the early stages of the season. Keating did play in the previous cup game against Everton. City looking to build an early spell in possession, but Newcastle look to apply the pressure. A smart play there from the side in black and white to win themselves a throw-in deep inside the City half of the field. I saw they fought. In the end, the referee opts to change her mind. City have the ball. Have work to do to get up towards halfway. Could be a chance for Newcastle. Edge of the area. As Zavenius went to ground, wanted a free kick. Referee didn't flinch. City, it's a scrappy start to this one and almost give away the possession again on the edge of their own penalty area. Murphy was lurking, but here comes Wahabi. One to beat. Little bit of a deflection as it finds Fujina. Hasegawa. Benny. One to beat. Gregory does well to hold her up and almost stops her getting into the penalty area. Early chance for Shaw. Gets on the end of it. However, touch was too heavy. Maybe a show of frustration there, but she does win her side a corner kick. As the numbers from the back make their way towards the 18-yard box. City have had a great deal of success from set pieces so far this season. In fact, only Chelsea have scored more than them in the WSL from set-piece situations. What can they muster up here in the early stages in Gateshead? Drilled ball in, straight into the side netting. Not what we've come accustomed to from Manchester City. Wahabi just getting that one badly wrong. And maybe letting Newcastle off the hook in the early stages. And you do feel as though that these stages are quite important for Newcastle United. The longer they can keep the scores level, the greater chance they may have of managing to spring that upset as Becky Langley watches on. Ball to Gregory wasn't the best. Cut out by Benny. Now Lazel. Tussles once more. Real physical start to this one. Once again, the decision goes away of the away side. Lazel just plays the 1-2 with Hasegawa. Takes another deflection. This time off of Nobbs, who puts it into touch for a throw-in. Andre Yeglets watching on in the early stages. What a start to life he's had at Manchester City. Took over from Gareth Taylor during the back end of last season. Tasked with the job of hunting Chelsea down at the top end of the WSL table. They're 1 point behind the Blues after 5 games of the season as Bunny Shaw advances forward once more. Again, some real tough physical defending there from Greg, who looks in a bit of discomfort after that challenge. Wins a possession back for her side via a free kick. Stacey Fullick's just across there, making sure that Greg is okay. Just did really well. It's going to be a real physical battle between them two in the early stages of this one. Bunny Shaw, the league's leading goal scorer last season. 4 goals so far this campaign. She's been ever present for Andrea Yeglets' side. did win this competition back in 2022 with the Sky Blues. Just having a word there with Orba Figino as the Geordie faithful watch on, packing out their new home in numbers as they have done so far this season, hoping that they eventually get some reward, as Greg's still down, just receiving a bit of treatment to her ankle. It's been a lively start to this one. Newcastle really setting their stall out early. They've got in the face of Manchester City, maybe sending the message that they're not going to make it easy for the Sky Blues. As Greg does make her way back to her feet, just testing the ankle out. I think it just rolled in the challenge. She'll be able to walk off unaided to the sideline, so fingers crossed for her. She's fit and able to continue. We'll have to spend the mandatory 30 seconds on the sidelines though before she can return to the field of play. As Claudia Mome just makes her way out to the edge of her area to take this free kick. So bit of a delay in the early stages of this one. I imagine you'll see those minutes added on when we approach half time. Newcastle look to make some inroads forward. Bit of head tennis, which was abruptly stopped there by Lazel. Cool as you like, just knocks the ball down, finds Keating. City with a chance to advance forward. Could be a useful ball, just too much on it though, asking far too much of the likes of Figino, who looks up the right-hand side. Demi Stokes tasked with defending that edge from her former side this afternoon. Has the ball in hand, ready to take the throw-in. Shaw, round the corner. What a ball that is. Figino with an early chance. Gets the cross in, deflects. Will be a corner kick to Manchester City. Some smart defending there from Lois Joel as Orba Figino looked to get in behind the Newcastle defence for the first time this afternoon. Cross was well read, put behind for a corner kick, and Leia Wahabi will look to create something a little bit better than what she managed to do moments ago from the same situation. Everyone crammed inside that 6-yard area of Newcastle United. This time the ball's floated in. Chance back across goal. Shaw was there. Just misjudges the header. Looks to the sky in frustration. Bunny Shaw. Well, if you wanted that chance to fall to anyone inside the penalty area, you would have chosen her this afternoon. However, just didn't read it well enough. Gets under the ball. Doesn't manage to trouble Claudia Mone. But maybe a sign of things to come from Manchester City's talismanic striker. Rose. All the way back to Keating. Returns it to the centre half with a little show of trickery there on the ball before just returning back to her goalkeeper. Lazel feeds it down the line. Again, Newcastle press high and almost win it back. In fact, here's Nobbs. Chance to get the shot in. It's a smart save from Keating to turn it round the post. Well, Manchester City have been caught out a number of times in the early stages in their own half of the field. This time it was the experienced Jordan Nobbs who just managed to get on to the end of a loose ball. Only had one thing in her mind as she approached the edge of the D. Low-driven drive needed to be saved by Keating, and it was. But now the hosts have a corner kick. Congested 6-yard area as the corner is floated into the near post. It's a solid header away from Rose. Newcastle need to be careful as City apply the press and do really well to force the ball all the way back towards Claudia Mone. Long ball forward. Could have been useful, however. Gregory just didn't bend her run in time. Offside flag straight up there from the assistant referee. Never any doubt in his mind. City, after that scare moments ago, will have the possession back, and once again, they don't seem shy in passing it round, playing it round the back, despite the pressure from Newcastle United. Rose needs to be careful. Murphy's lurking. Newcastle win it back again here. What can they muster up? Shot from distance. Oh, that is absolutely spectacular. You may not see a better goal than that in this round of the competition. Lois Joe with an absolute rocket into the top corner. You simply cannot stop those. And do we have a shock on our hands here? Newcastle with an early lead. And what a blistering effort from Lois Joe. As soon as she got that ball, straight onto the right foot, looks up, picks a spot, and makes absolutely no mistake. What a start from Newcastle United. Can City bounce back? Flick on from Shaw. Just asking too much of Coombs. Newcastle with a spring in their step. Here they come again with Murphy. Gregory has support from Nobbs. Ball just too heavy into her, runs out for the goal kick. You just feel as though City need to settle things down here. Lois Joe scored that late equaliser last time out in a 2-2 draw against Bristol City to rescue a point for her side. Formerly of West Ham United, represented England as well. She's put her side in the lead and they're hungry for more. Murphy into the area. Nowhere to go. Runs into a bit of traffic. Another shot from distance from Nobbs. It's a second of the afternoon. Both of them have been well saved by Chiara Keating. That time the Manchester City goalkeeper maybe didn't panic as much as she would have done moments ago. However, Jordan Nobbs showing all of her experience in the early stage of this one, and City look rattled. Rose. As Newcastle United have a throw-in on this near side. Stokes with the ball in hand again. Virgino. Rose just squares it across. City looking to build again. Gino once more. Eye of the needle pass. Options in the middle. Shaw's lurking in there. Support from the likes of Coombs. However, they couldn't find their target in the middle. Newcastle come away with the possession again. Murphy does well just to hold up the possession. All the way back towards Moan. It goes again. Nobbs' ball forward. Lovely first touch from Murphy. She's got options. She's going to go herself, twisting the turn. Eventually, the shot is a tame one. I'm not shy of confidence in front of goal. Emily Murphy there with a marauding run forward. City go direct again, but once again, Grecky's there after that earlier injury scare to put it out for a throw into the away side. Keating. Pryor finds Lazel. Bit of space to work with. Ball played in towards Benny. Again, one to beat, but Newcastle rather structured in their defence. Gregory that time helping out at the back. Lazel with the throw-in. Decent one into the penalty area. Here's Shaw. Here's a chance. Deflects. Moan just makes sure it goes behind for a corner kick to City. Had to be careful there underneath the ball. It was looping high in the air. Did well to read it. Tipped it over the crossbar. That's the best we've seen from Manchester City in the recent stages. Again, it's Bunny Shaw who's making a bit of a nuisance of herself. Wahabi. This time City goes short. 1-2 from the corner. Lovely ball in. There's a flick on. And it goes just past the post. That was the closest Manchester City have come. Loman up there with the header. Glances it for a second. She must have thought it was going to nestle into the bottom corner. Lovely work, set piece routine from the citizens. However, the header bounces just wide of the post, much to Claudia Moan's relief. And Newcastle United live to tell the tale again. Lois Joel's goal the difference, and what a goal it was to give her side the lead. Kiara Keating on the ball now could do absolutely nothing about it as she looks to get her side back on the front foot as they search for a way back into this one. Not the best touch from Fagino. Gives the possession back to the Magpies once more. Nobbs just turns it back towards halfway. Stokes under some pressure there. Cool as you like, just rolls it back. However, it's City now who are looking to win the ball back high up the field. Good challenge from Hasegawa. Now Coombs returns it to Hasegawa, who's made a run towards the edge of the area. Maybe unfamiliar territory for the defensive midfielder out on the left flank. Couldn't manage to get the cross in. Again, a queue of City shirts, but Newcastle do well just to get bodies back behind the ball defensively. Fagino. Lovely ball, weighted in, back across goal. No one could get on the end of it, but it's still in play here. The City look to get back into this one. Challenge comes in. Referee once more doesn't flinch. Wahabi wanted a free kick. I think there was a toe on the ball there. She protests with the referee. And she did well to get past one. However, the last ditch attempt, just getting the ball before making contact with Wahabi. Newcastle have the possession back. Throwing goes away with Newcastle. It's getting a little bit tasty, this one, a bit feisty between players from both sides. In fact, the referee judged it to be in a little bit of too heavy contact in there, so it's a free kick to the home side. Another chance here for them to get the ball up towards the Manchester City penalty area. With a scrap for possession on the edge of the area. Hasegawa clears. Not too sure Joel intended for the ball to ping off of her boot the way it did there. However, her side do well to ensure that City couldn't break forward. However, here they come now once more with Fagino. Options in the middle again. Drilled ball in. Just couldn't find Shaw. Knobs on hand to clear away. Smart touch from Lohman just to keep hold of the possession. Turns it back to Jade Rose, who finds Lohman once more. Now for Gino. Space on this side once more. Benny, one to beat. Stokes back defending. Squares it across. Scuffed effort goalwards. Newcastle eventually do well to rekindle the possession and just launch it up towards halfway, where Murphy couldn't get on the end of it. And now we're starting to see Manchester City just turn the screw a little bit more. Alois Joel scream at the difference between the two sides in the early stages here at the Gateshead International Stadium. Lohman once more. Not the best ball. A little bit too much on it. And eventually, Claudia Moan tasked with the job of clearing upfield. Lovely touch from Murphy. And here come Newcastle. Nobbs under pressure. Just about gets it out towards Gregory. Beaten to it by Lazil. Cool as you like, sends it back to Keating, who had to be careful, but she duly was. City finds Shaw. Option to the left, finds Wahabi too. Touch isn't the best. We'll keep it in play though. Another opening here for City. Shaw lays it off. Wahabi again. Nowhere to go. Forced to turn her back onto the penalty area. Forced to go back up towards the halfway line. Coombs. Rose again. Just lets Coombs set the ball off of her boot before she sets off on it. Run forward. Almost gets in behind as well. Smart flick round the corner there from Bunny Shaw. Feel as though this is just becoming ever more backs against the wall for Newcastle United, but so far they've come up with all of the defensive answers they needed to. What can City do here? Hasegawa looks to feed it through. Benio once more. Gregory in there for Newcastle. Fagino. Joel to beat. Edge of the area. Finds Hasegawa. Fagino once more. Shapes across. Could be useful. Cleared away once again by Newcastle. Newcastle looking as though they were going to launch a quick counter, however, maybe just choosing to slow play down a little bit here. They've had to do quite a bit of defending in the last 5-10 minutes or so. Opting just to keep their foot on the ball for a moment and just try relax back into this one. Wahabi reads it well. Just sends it back towards Rose, who finds the goalkeeper Keating. Lohman lays it off. Wahabi again, under some pressure. Murphy's lurking, wins it back too, however, I'm not too sure. Newcastle just realised how much time they had in possession there. Maybe a rush ball across, and Gregory wasn't expecting it. City win it back. As Becky Langley watches on, and, well, she'll be encouraged from what she's seen from her side so far this afternoon as they win it back in the City half of the field. Again, Nobbs with a lovely touch there to keep hold of the ball. Here's a goal scorer, Joe. Finds Stokes. Stokes towards the penalty area. Could be a chance to cross here. Drills it in. It's a real mess at the back, but eventually City rekindle the possession. Look to clear it up towards halfway, but it's not the best touch there from Iman Beni. Puts it out for a throw-in. Stokes with the ball in hand. Maybe just slowing proceedings down again here as she looks for options, goes towards the penalty area. Murphy with the back to goal. Never really got to her for her to manage to spin away from a challenge and maybe get a shot on target. Instead, it's City who have the ball. But again, have to be careful. Hasegawa in the middle, as well as Firgino, who did well just to wait for the contact before going to ground. And again, it just resets things for Manchester City. Ball over the top, rather simple there for Aoife Mannion, the former Manchester City defender, to deal with. Just puts her boot on it before laying it off back towards Moan, who clears it upfield. But City win the second ball. Flicks forward, big challenge comes in again from Grech to get Newcastle back on the front foot. Murphy does well to hold the ball up. Floaty ball across. Here's Gregory. Good touch. Has an option in Stokes. Looks to feed it through to the former City defender. Not quite on the same wavelength there. City come away with it, but Newcastle looking very, very dangerous on the counter-attack. Bunny Shaw looks at a frustrated figure at the top end of the pitch. This is perhaps turning into a little bit of a more difficult afternoon than City expected. Much credit to Newcastle United for the way they've just managed to soak up some pressure for straight City, and when it's mattered most, they've had spells of dominance themselves, and they managed to make that count on the scoreboard. But here comes City once more. Lazel, Firgino. Lemon, decent ball forward. Bene chases, Moan comes. Bit of confusion there between defence and goalkeeper, but it's eventually scrambled to safety. No nonsense in the end from Malgazar to Grech. City with a throw-in. Lazel. Just cannons off of Joel. Will be a repeat throw. This time goes back towards Firgino. Keating has it. Keating again. Ambitious ball forward. Benny chases. Stokes hooks it out for the throw-in to the Sky Blues. Well, things haven't quite clicked yet for Newcastle United this season. They sit down in 9th position in WSL 2, where many expected them to be challenging right at the top. Without a win in 5 games so far, drawn the last 2, so maybe a sign that they've managed to turn the corner. Where it certainly clicked in the opening half an hour or so of this one. City looking to bounce back. Lofty ball forward. Once more, just asking far too much of the attackers in City colours. Hasegawa the closest to getting onto the end of that one, but never really caused any trouble for Claudia Moan, who takes the time before levering up towards the halfway line. Shaw, bundled to ground. That will be a free kick. City get back under it quickly. In fact, Stacey Fullick's the referee. Pulls play back. And judges there to be in a bit of interference there from the Magpies as the free kick was attempted to be taken quickly. So City will have another bite at the cherry, and this time it's played back in towards their own half of the field. As again we see this patient, passing, probing play from Andre Jeglert's side. Ball into Firgino. Well read once more by Newcastle, but Virginia looks to win it back, which she does so. However, Stacey Phillips, the judges, said to being a little bit too keen there. Jordan Nobbs, we've seen so far in this first half, all the experience on show just to draw the foul. Got the ball away just in the nick of time. Won the free kick for her side. Becky Langley, undoubtedly the happier of the two coaches, as Claudia Moan comes out of her penalty area to launch this ball forward. Tussle for possession. City managed to clear. Again, it's been a real scrap at times, this one. Very feisty. Challenges flying in from either side. Newcastle now just looking to build a little bit of pressure. Decent ball down the wing. Another chance to get a ball in. They've got bodies forward. City regroup. Lofted ball towards the far post. Could have been awkward for Lazel. Does well to flick it clear. Gregory has it again. He's got Nobbs and Stokes in support. Opts to find Nobbs, who squares it across to Joel. This time opts not to go from distance. That one might have been a little bit too far out. However, the ball up towards the penalty area wasn't the best. City come away with the possession, but again, have to be careful. It's a bit of a high-risk play here as they look to make their way out of their own half of the field, but they do so brilliantly. Virgino. Options left and right. Newcastle stretched at the back. Virgino still going. Feeds it into Shaw. Takes a touch, clips it back across. Could be useful. And somehow, the ball doesn't make the back of the net ripple. Wahhabi arrived. She seemingly timed her run perfectly. Bunny Shaw, calm presence in front of goal. Opting not to take the shot on herself. Put it on a plate for Wahhabi, who just couldn't make it pay. Puts it the wrong side of the post. And you have to say that was a big, big let-off for Newcastle United. Well, to take the goal kick. You just wonder what this scoreboard will do for the hopes and aspirations of the home fans here. The longer the clock ticks on, the more they will surely start to believe. And could we be on the brink of an upset? And here they come again. Murphy just couldn't get onto the end of that one. Puts Keating under some pressure, though. She does well just to turn the ball out to Rose. Keating again. Rose. Support on halfway. Lovely ball in towards the feet of Hasegawa. However, loses out in the challenge. Newcastle go direct. Murphy's lurking. Forces some very good defending, but City give the ball away again. Shot from distance deflects. Savenius that time with the effort. It was blistering. It was heading towards a goal. Not sure how troubled Keating will have been. However, thanks to her defence, it meant she didn't have to do any work on that occasion. And now City have it back. And the game's just opening up a little bit. However, Stacey Fullox pulls play back after Lois Joel down with a head injury. So the referee rightly following protocols. Lois Joel certainly being in the thick of the action in the first half of this one. This time just going in for the challenge with Bunny Shaw. Maybe just received a clip around the top of her forehead there as she went in for the challenge. It's been a physical game. Lois Joel's been at the heart of it, as has Bunny Shaw for Manchester City. However, the least likely of those two to get the opening goal was the one who did, Lois Joel, with an absolute screamer from all of 25 yards. Kiara Keating didn't even move. And how those Newcastle United fans must be enjoying their afternoon so far in the northeast. The rain's holding off, chips and gravy on show on their side. 1 goal to the good. And you have to say, where they've surrendered a lot of the possession, the ball they have had, they made it work, created a wealth of opportunities. And it was Lois Joel who managed to make it count on the scoreboard. City looking to hit back. Virgino clips it in. Again, a menacing ball. Had to be dealt with, and it was. But it will be a corner kick to Manchester City. Well, Aoife Mannion knows what it takes to beat a City side. She was part of one herself. Also wore the red in Manchester of United before that. She's had a astonishing career, but she's got more defending to do so far. And City look to make something work from the corner. Clipped in again. Headed clear. Wahabi will get it back. Not the best ball from her. Just gets trapped under the studs. She wins back the possession, but again, just almost falls over the top of the ball there. Luckily for her, her side managed to keep hold of the possession. Lovely flick there from Hasegawa to get Virgino free. Lohman's ball-in wasn't the best. Joe back on after receiving treatment for that injury moments ago. Couldn't manage to clear that time. Here's Shaw, edge of the area, does fall. Virgino, shot comes in off the post. But you can't get much closer than that. And another let-off for Newcastle United. It was Wahabi who couldn't make a gilt-edged opportunity count moments ago. And this time Virgino, a winding run into the penalty area. She almost did everything right. Only one thing on her mind, plays a 1-2 with Bunny Shaw. So unlucky not to see the ball nestle into the top corner there. Manchester City managing to do everything but score in the first half of this one. Newcastle still lead. Not the best goal kick from Moan. You could see on the expression on her face as soon as it left her boot that she wasn't too pleased as it whistles straight out for a throw into City. Keating finds Lazel. Lazel again just enjoying a little bit of possession. Ball back in field. Eventually found Hasegawa, who lost out. Looks to try and get the ball back up towards the penalty area. She almost wrestles the possession back, but City do eventually manage to rekindle the ball. Chance to get it into the middle. Bennett looks to get past Stokes, who recovers well. Puts it behind for another corner. And City have been menacing from these corner situations in the past 10 minutes or so. Wahabi marches across to take this one again. Interesting to see if we'll see a repeat of this short corner routine. However, it looks as though Hasegawa's back towards the 18-yard box as it is swung in towards the penalty area. Joel's underneath it for Newcastle. Gets to the ball first and puts it behind for a repeat corner kick, but this time from the other side. Looks as though it's going to be Hasegawa to make her way across to whip this one in. 6 minutes to go until half-time. And, well, I'm sure if you offered Becky Langley this situation 6 minutes before the break, she would have snatched your hand off for it. Her side in the lead against a side who sits second in the WSL. Ball floated in. A wicked one into the 6-yard area. It's a bit of a mess at the back. Eventually flick clear by Joel again. Gregory chases, can't get to it, but just about manages to put enough pressure on the ball to force a throw in for her side. And once again, they've managed to survive that latest wave of Manchester City attack. Stokes with the throw in. sees the return as well before going long towards halfway. Murphy just can't manage to flick it on. Pryor and Rose just exchange a couple of passes before Pryor marches forward again. Hasegawa finds Rose to Wahhabi. Under pressure once more. Big tackle comes in. Good tackle as well. Charlotte Waldorf in the right back position. Just snuffs out Manchester City as they look to launch an attack, and it's forced them to do what we've seen in this one time and time again, and just recycle the possession and be patient as they look to build up towards the edge of the penalty area. Once more, Newcastle do well just to force the ball back in towards the City half of the field. Lohman. Nowhere to go. Bit of a risky ball into Pryor there, who's alert to it. Feeds it into Lazel. Pass one. Can't get past Joe. Here come Newcastle again. Could be 3-on-3 here. Murphy with one to beat. Just can't get past Rose, who was strong defensively. Just shielded the ball from Murphy. And cool as you like, turns it back towards Keating. Now Pryor. Bennett charges forward. Here's Shaw, lays it off. Coombs can't get to it. Another stoppage in play. The referee, Stacey Fullick's, just making sure everything's played by the rule book. Takes an extra 10 yards or so backwards before playing the drop ball. But City looking to catch Newcastle United out. Virgino gets past one, couldn't get past the challenge of Grech. Now Wahhabi. Floated ball forward. Shaw on the end of it. Keeper comes. And eventually Bunny Shaw's touch is just too heavy. Runs out for a goal kick. And again, Bunny Shaw not having it all her own way in this one. Gives a thumbs up. It was a useful ball over the top. However, just a little bit too much for her to get onto the end of. Feels like Newcastle maybe need half-time to come sooner rather than later. So another look at that opportunity. It was Bunny Shaw's first touch was good, just couldn't get her footing after landing on the ground. Maybe just a little bit of a shunt in the back. Never enough for it to be a foul, but enough to put Bunny Shaw off. City looking to advance forward again. Gregory maybe wasn't aware of Bennett's run there, tracking the ball back towards Moan. However, no harm done in the end. City win a free kick. Just a tug on the shirt there. As Alicia Body, the first into the referee's book this afternoon. Not too sure she can have any complaints there. And it was a cynical but not malicious challenge just to halt the Manchester City attack. As half-time approaches, City this time look as though they're going to punt the ball long up towards the penalty area. You can just see there the run of Gracie Pryor up towards the edge of the area as Lazel stands over it, goes short in the end. Hasegawa lofts it in, headed clear by Mannion. Wahhabi. Lovely first touch to set her down the left flank. However, quick defending there from Newcastle stops her in her tracks. Virgino. Looks to feed it into short. Again, just couldn't get onto the end of it. Almost her opposite number there at the other end of the pitch. Murphy back defending, but here's Shaw again towards a penalty area. Goes to ground. A quick glance towards the referee. The supporters appealed. I'm not too sure Bunny Shaw was all too hopeful of getting anything there. Stacey Fullock didn't flinch. We're into 3 minutes of additional time at the end of the first half. Manchester City looking for a route back into it before the interval. Benny has it. Stokes to beat. Drive towards the Newcastle left back. Looks to clip it in. Gets a deflection. Squares it across. Shaw leaves it. Coombs' shot is deflected. Newcastle managed to half clear this one. But here's Wahhabi. Saveni is to beat. Forced back. Floated ball in. Shaw was there. An outstretched right leg. Just couldn't connect with the ball. Again, put into a terrible position for a goalkeeper to deal with. However, Shaw can't get anything on it. It whistles past the post. And Newcastle look like they're going to be able to defend this lead as we head towards the half-time point. As Becky Langley looks on. Notepad in hand. I wonder what she'll have to say to her side. She must be undoubtedly pleased with them as they've gone toe-to-toe with one of the best sides in the country after they've struggled in their starts the season. They've recruited heavily. We've seen time and time again with teams in WSL too that you feel it just needs that one game to click, one game for them to get going. I'm not too sure many of the Newcastle United faithful expected this game to be the one where it eventually fell into place. But so far, it looks like they've got something to smile about as they head into the break. Murphy with the pressure. Throw-in goes away of City. Rose. Last chance of the half, you'd think, with Benny. Towards the area, gets past Stokes, still going, squares it across, and there is the equaliser on the brink of half-time. And City get the goal that their pressure has duly deserved. Combs with the finish. A brilliant winding run forward from Benny, and City are back on level terms. And for all of Newcastle United's hard work in the first half, they'll have work to do again if they're going to win this game in the second. Newcastle United won, Manchester City won. Never in doubt. As soon as the ball fell into the path of Laura Combs, only one thing on her mind. Strokes it into the bottom left corner. Keeper couldn't get anywhere near it. And a real sucker punch for Becky Langley's side to deal with ahead of the break. And it was almost the final kick of the half as the referee, Stacey Fullock, signals the end of the first 45 minutes. And Lois Joel with an absolute screamer to give the home side the lead in the early stage of this one. The ball nestled in the top left corner from all of 25 yards out. Newcastle created chances since then as well, with Nobbs going close on a couple of occasions before Laura Coombs scored right on the stroke of half-time to pull City level. And it's a level score that they duly deserve as they head into the changing rooms at the end of the first half. It is Newcastle United 1, Manchester City 1. As though if Newcastle can keep these scores at 1-1 for as long as possible in the second half, anything can happen. They look dangerous on the counter-attack. Lois Joel there just going through her warm-ups ahead of the second 45 minutes. She's been in the thick of the action on the score sheet. Doesn't shy away from a challenge either. Her and Bunny Shaw enjoying a tussle or two in that first half. As the theme of the local hero rings around the Gateshead International Stadium. The club's anthem as they begin a huddle. Newcastle United in their own half of the pitch. Manchester City, on the other hand, just playing between themselves as they wait their opposition to ready themselves for the second 45 minutes. Bunny Shaw will be the one to get the second half underway as the supporters watch on. Will we see Manchester City pick up their second win of the group stage of the competition to put themselves in the driving seat at the top of the group stage? Or will Newcastle United pull off a shock to give themselves a glimmer of hope of qualifying for the knockout stages? They were beaten in the first game. As the three-time cup winners look to launch an early attack in this second half. Firmino feeds it into, well, no one was actually making a run in behind there for Manchester City. Maybe a bit of sloppiness at the start of the second 45 minutes. Firmino again. Finds Lazel. Feeds it back in towards the Japanese winger. Towards the penalty area. City looks to charge. Could be a decent ball in. Here's Hasegawa. That's just what the doctor ordered for Manchester City at the start of the second half. Yui Hasegawa in an advanced position in the penalty area and absolutely smashes it into the top corner. And whatever Andre Yeglet said in the changing rooms at half-time, it has worked, and his side take the lead in this one. Newcastle United 1, Manchester City 2. Yui Hasegawa put the laces through that one. Almost takes the netting off the goalposts. Nothing Claudio Mon could do about it. And for all of Newcastle's hard work in the first half, it's been undone. And now they have work to do. The second goal of the season, Yui Hasegawa. She's played in every game so far this season. A wealth of experience for the 28-year-old. Played 93 times for her country, Japan, as well. And what a valuable goal that could be for her and her side. Keating. City patient in the possession here in the early stages of the second half. Keating once more. Shaw on the turn, bundled into the back of there, wins a free kick. Clever play from the centre forwarders. Mangazata Gurek just makes sure she's okay after colliding with the City striker. Stacey Fullick's just ensuring she's okay. She steadily makes her way back to her feet. Bunny Shaw, another player who was part of the League Cup winning side back in 2022 with Manchester City, looking to get their hands on the competition for the first time in 4 years. And as it stands, they're set to maintain a 100% record in the group stage. Rose in the possession. Wahabi. Firmino loses out. Body gets Newcastle back on the front foot. Sevenius. Chance to maybe get the ball into the middle. Just lays it off. Eventually deflects high into the air. Bit of confusion at the back. What can Newcastle come up with? Just doesn't fall to a black and white shirt inside the 6-yard area. City clear, and can they counter? Stokes has to be careful, was careful as well. The ball eventually. Turn back towards Manion. Now Greg. Lovely weighted ball. Gregory. One to beat. Stokes looks to get on the loose ball. Bit of it coming together there, which has left Gregory in a bit of discomfort. The referee didn't award a free kick to the Magpies. However, Stacey Fullix just issues the instruction to the physios to make their way across. Just to check that Gregory's okay. Well, whatever Becky Langley said at half-time, I'm sure that team talk has now been ripped to shreds. A real positive display from her side in the first half an hour or so, but since then, they were forced to sit deeper and deeper, do a little bit more defending by the minute. In the end, their resolve was broken just on the brink of half-time. And it appears that they didn't really recover in the changing rooms as Yui Hasegawa gave City the lead just minutes into the second 45. Gregory just receiving a bit of treatment. Emily Murphy across to just check on her teammate as the physios again following every protocol. January signing for A. Gregory, only 22 years of age, joined from Aston Villa. She's represented England at youth level, but chose to play for Scotland at seniors. She's been lively in this game as well, playing off that left flank. Caused quite a few problems for Naomi Lazel to deal with. I'm sure that Newcastle United faithful will be keeping the fingers crossed that she's fit and able to continue. She makes her way off the field. She'll have to wait for the referee's instruction before she can continue, but it looks as though she's okay to do so. We are ready to get this one back underway with the drop ball. Will land on the boot of Demi Stokes. Newcastle still with work to do in this one. 2-1 the score in favour of City. Newcastle led. City have come back as they've created a bit of a habit of doing so. Pryor. Brave run forward. Feeds a pass into Lazel. Space to work with. Goal scorer of City's second, Hasegawa. Does well to keep hold of the ball. Benny. Chips it in. Mannion's there to clear. Shaw was lurking. Newcastle may counter. Murphy. Marauding run forward. Option with Nobbs. First time shot. Deflects. Will recollect the possession as she waits for reinforcements to arrive. Just holds the ball up. City rekindle. Mannion turns it into Greg. Lovely weighted diagonal. Gregory back on. Lazel to beat. Lovely bit of footwork. There's a cross. There's a clearance from City. Not the best clearance, but Hasegawa on hand just to cool as you like, put a foot on the ball. Just maintain the possession momentarily. But here come Newcastle again. Body turns out of one challenge. Stokes collects. Joe. Now Mannion. Lovely weighted pass. Nobbs goes for goal. Spilt by the goalkeeper. Real chance for Murphy. Squares it back across. And there was no one on the same wavelength. Play has been pulled back but you do feel as though that was a real chance for Newcastle United. There's a smart ball forward from Mannion, just to feed it through the eye of the needle. Nobbs' shot was deflected. Murphy, instead of going for goal, squared it back, and here come Manchester City with Shaw. The offside flag maybe sparing a few blushes there for Emily Murphy as she looks for a teammate rather than attempting to put the ball into an almost empty goal. Moan clears. This is the fourth meeting between these two sides. City scoring their 12th and 13th goal against Newcastle in those 4 games this afternoon to give themselves the lead in the second half. Rose back to Keating. Rose once more. Here comes City again. Fagino, winding run forward. Finds Wahabi, 1 to beat, squares it back. Fagino again, looks to curl one. Just in the nick of the time, the challenge came in, puts it behind for a corner kick. Fagino just looking to wrap her boot round that. Couldn't guide it goalwards, but Manchester City maintained their pressure on the Newcastle United goal. Hasegawa on the corner. Her goal, the difference between the two sides. Wicked ball into the near post. Flicked clear by the Magpies again. Collected by Wahabi. Hasegawa in support. Finds her as well. Chance to get the ball in. Coombs from distance. Ambitious to say the least. Was never really troubling Moan there. Feels she was just on her back foot. Couldn't manage to whip it goalwards, and nor could Emily Murphy moments ago. Again, the deflected effort, spill by Kiara Keating. Murphy did really well just to touch it past the Manchester City goalkeeper. However, couldn't apply the finish. The ball cleared up and over the halfway line again as Savenius is lurking in behind there. Rose had to be alert, and she was. Eventually managed to clear the ball away and just turns the ball back now to Keating, who almost let Newcastle back into it moments ago with that spill. Much to her relief, Newcastle didn't capitalise. Here City come again. Lofted ball down the touchline, just known in sky blue, expecting that to be played in. Another stoppage in play, and this may be the first change of the afternoon for Newcastle United. It is Shania Hales who's stripped and ready to come on. She's on in place of Alicia Body, who was shown a yellow card at the end of the first half. So maybe Becky Langley erring on the side of caution as she makes a tactical change. It looks as though that's a second striker on for the Magpies. What can Hales do in the final half an hour or so of this one? Newcastle looks to advance. Once more, the referee just pulls play back. Straight away, Fullix into her pocket to show the yellow card to Leia Wahabi with a wry grin on her face. I think that's a grin more in disbelief after being shown the yellow, but I'm not too sure. She could have too many complaints as she halted the Newcastle attack in its tracks. But now Becky Langley's side have a chance from a set piece to make something happen in front of goal. Hales' first action. And it's not the best ball in. Wahhabi opts to keep it in the field of play. Finds Coombs, who takes a touch, lays it off towards Hasegawa. Just confirmation of that yellow card for Leia Wahhabi. As Rose has possession on the edge of the area. Look towards her right before just deciding to carry the ball herself up towards halfway. However, City run into a bit of traffic. Joel, calm as you like. Just turns it back towards Mannion. And now it's Newcastle's turn to have to be patient in possession as they look to find a way back into this one. Not the best ball into Gregory. Can't keep it in the field of play. City will happily defend plays like that all afternoon long. Throwing goes away with City. As it looks as though Andre Yeglets is set to shuffle his pack for the first time this afternoon. However, just waits until this attack plays out maybe. A bit of a tussle for possession. Gregory manages to clear. No one in black and white chasing. Hale's now the highest up the field. It looks as though Murphy's just sat into that 3 in behind as the ball was played down the touchline. City do well to win the throw-in once more. Shaw. Tussle for possession. Wins the corner kick. Does really well just to get the flick off Malgazasa Grek. Corner for City. Wahhabi stands over it again, and there's a massive cluster of players inside the 6-yard area. Once more, City go short with what looked to be the 1-2. Eventually clipped into the area again. Smart defensive header from Greg. Mannion with the challenge, but can't win it off Shaw, who does well to win a repeat corner kick for the Sky Blues. Hasegawa across to take the corner. Will be another wicked in-swinger for Newcastle to deal with. This one's high towards the far post. Keeper punches, not the best. It's a real mess. It's gone in, and Claudia Moan will not want to see that goal back. She came to collect the corner, opted to punch, got it badly wrong, and in the end, has more or less punched it into the back of her own net. And now Newcastle United have a mountain to climb in this one. Newcastle United 1, Manchester City 3. Well, there've been wicked balls in from these corner kicks all afternoon from Manchester City, but that one caused far too many problems for Claudia Moan. She gets it badly wrong. And now Manchester City look towards their bench. Alex Greenwood, Laura Blinkill-Brown and Vivian Miedemar all stripped off and ready to come on. Sydney Lohman makes her way to the sidelines, as does Oba Fugino. They'll watch the final 27 minutes or so of this one from the sidelines. Jade Rose, the other player to make way for Manchester City. As Newcastle get ready to get us back underway again. But it was once an afternoon that was filled with anticipation for Newcastle United. A strong first half showing has been undone in the second. And now City look like they've got a spring in their step here. Here they come again with Benny. Options in the middle. Wicked ball in. This time Moan does manage to collect. Laura Blinkill-Brown on as a substitute. She did start last time out. Started 5 games in the WSL this season. She was capped by England for the first time last year. She's been brought on, as well as the experienced Vivian Miedemar and Alex Greenwood, who needs no introduction. As Newcastle have the possession. It feels like it's just gone a little bit flat from a Newcastle United point of view. As the ball trickles out for a throw-in, so maybe an opportunity here for the home side to impose themselves on the Manchester City penalty area once more. Mannion. Greg. Moan once more. Gregory, winding run, looks to get past Lazel, does so as well. Could be useful this as the ball's clipped into the penalty area. Half a chance there for Newcastle, probably more than what they've had so far in this second 45 minutes. However, once more, the decent ball in just wasn't met by anyone in Newcastle colours. Stokes tussles to keep hold of the possession, but Miedemar's there, wins it as well. Chance for City to break. Here's Shaw, Coombs in support, beaten to it by Mannion. Smart play from the Newcastle defence there. Now Savenius. Wahhabi to beat. Lofty ball forward. Again, just asking far too much this time of Lois Joe. Keating collects. Now Greenwood. Capped over 100 times for England, so you imagine she's been brought on just to use her experience to see this game out. Carried it up towards halfway before just turning it back towards Keating. Game management coming in here from Manchester City as Keating sweeps the ball out to her. Not the best. City concede the throw-in, and they've played themselves into a bit of danger there. Throw-in to Newcastle. Wardlaw across to take it. Keep plays on the edge of the penalty area. Hales. Greenwood clears. City now looking very settled in this one. Seem quite happy to let Newcastle United just enjoy a bit of possession, as long as they don't get into 2 minutes in of a position. This time, Una Saveni's just been a little bit too keen there. Wraps the arms around Wahhabi, gives away the free kick. Well, both sides made 5 changes going into this one, so that probably spells out the ambitions from both head coaches. The league is their bread and butter. City going well at the top of the WSL as you look to snatch that title from Chelsea. Newcastle, on the other hand, haven't had the start to the season that they'd want. Maybe Becky Langley putting all of the focus on towards climbing up the WSL 2 as City come forward again. Chance to whip this one in. Blinkill-Brown has it. Just plays the 1-2 with Hasegawa. Floated ball in. Could be menacing. Back across goal. Shaw can't get there. Moan has the ball in hand. As Claudia Moan launches the ball up and over the halfway line. She was undoubtedly at fault for Manchester City's third goal as her punch almost ballooned back towards her own net. However, the goal has been given to Gracie Pryor. The Manchester City defender must have just managed to get a nick on it on its way in. A goal poacher's effort there. But I'm sure she won't mind as it goes down on the stats for the future that it is her goal. Doesn't matter how it goes in. She doubles City's advantage. And what was it? Calamity at the back for the Magpies. First goal of the season for Gracie Pryor, the academy graduate, as City come forward again up the right. This time it's Joel who manages to intercept the loose ball. Looks to set Hales on her way. Has Pryor to beat. Lazel gets back and helps out defensively. Falls into the path of Gregory. Lovely little interchange on that far side. Hale still looking to go. Bundled into, however, Stacey Fullix. The judges there to be no foul play there. So City will get the ball back. Greenwood goes long. Blinko Brown again. Just loses out in the challenge. Stokes collects. Now Joe. Moan once more. Switches it across. Nicely weighted ball infield by Wardlaw. And now Newcastle on the move. Here's Murphy. Options in the middle. A goal now will make things interesting. Murphy crosses. Greenwood blocks. Hasegawa clears. Wardlaw has it. Still an option in the middle through Hales. Looks to find her as well. Keating comes. Almost another disaster at the back. This time at the other end of the field is the ball almost loops over Keating's head. Got fingertips on it. Much to her relief. Managed to come, grab the possession. And now her side back on the ball. Greenwood to Keating. Hales breaks forward. She has options in support. Now Nobbs. Shapes to shoot. Does so. Straight into the gloves of Keating. She's going to take a little bit of time on the ball now just to eat up a few seconds. That's been twice now that Newcastle have been able to break forward on the counter charge. This time Nobbs opting not to use any of the options in support. Went for goal herself but just couldn't angle the ball either side of Kiara Keating's goal. But signs to be encouraged for Newcastle United this afternoon and in the last few minutes is they've certainly not disgraced themselves in this contest with Manchester City, the side pushing at the top of the WSL. And this time it is the three-time cup winners who run the ball into touch. And it may just allow Newcastle United to make a couple of substitutions as Becky Langley looks to switch things up once more. You can see Kirsten Kasparai there stripped and ready to come on for the side in sky blue. Goal scorer for Newcastle United and the first goal of the game. Lewis Joel makes way for the final stages of this one. She's been replaced by Deanna Cooper. Una Savenius. Also, we'll watch the final 15 minutes or so from the dugout. Beth Lumsden on in her place. Fan favourite here. At the Gateshead International Stadium, and it just looks like it's going to be a like-for-like switch-up for Manchester City as Kirsten Kasperai comes on in place of Naomi Lazel for the final 15 minutes of this one. Almost a mix-up at the back there from City again as Keating just tends to retreat the possession. No one really expecting that from the Newcastle point of view. Maybe they just lacked that little bit of nous in front of goal where City have been sloppy at the back. On only one occasion have Newcastle managed to punish them for it. Now throw-in taken by Stokes. Will be a repeat around 10 yards or so further downfield. Keating once more, this time under a bit of pressure, but finds Greenwood. Feeds it through the gap to Hasegawa, who just takes a touch before putting it calmly into the path of Pryor. Here comes City once more. Ball floated across to Wahabi, who just can't manage to keep it in play. Just didn't bounce for her, just skewed off the surface here. It's a wet afternoon in the northeast as Newcastle United take the throw in quickly. Ball launched up towards halfway. Good header from Hales to feed it in towards Nobbs, who just lets it run across the front of her. Well intercepted in the end by the Sky Blues. Now Pryor just exchanges a couple of passes with Kasperai on as a substitute. Before looking to feed it forward. That was a risky ball and it was well read by Murphy. Now Newcastle could break. Murphy with options to her left. Manages to find Gregory. What can she muster up here? Decent ball in. Keating comes and punches. A volley from the edge of the area. Nobbs just gets underneath the ball. Well, it would have been a spectacular drive from Jordan Nobbs from the edge of the box. It was well read by the experienced midfielder as Gregory put a wicked ball in towards the 6-yard area. Hales rose, couldn't get there. Keating punched, much to her relief. Nobbs puts it over the crossbar. Shaw feeds it into Coombs. Big challenge comes in from Wardlaw. It's a good one as well to give the throw into Manchester City. Not too sure Coombs was too happy with the force of the challenge there, but the referee, Stacey Fullix, saw nothing wrong with it, and many in the stadium inclined to agree, but City still have the possession. Hasegawa looks to tussle for the ball. Coombs involved there as well, but Newcastle clear. Smart play there from Hales to turn away from the challenge of Greenwood. Wins a free kick as well. That just halted a potential counter-attack there for the Magpies. Mannion over the free kick. But City almost set for a scare in this one. Newcastle took the lead early on before Laura Coombs' goal and Hasegawa goal either side of half-time put them into the lead before a clanger at the back from Claudia Moan came to try and collect, got it badly wrong, and Pryor just managed to flick it in at the near post. It was Moan who tried to come and collect again, but just the physical presence of Pryor inside the 6-yard box proved too much for the Newcastle goalkeeper to deal with. She hits the post in frustration. And now with 10 minutes to play, Manchester City with a 2-goal lead to defend. As Newcastle apply the press again. Here's Hales, 3-on-3. What can Newcastle muster up here? Support as well, but Hales goes from distance. But it took something spectacular to find the back of the net from that range, as we saw from Lois Joel in the early stages. However, the left-footed drive from Hales, far too tame and far too easy for Keating to deal with. Miedemar. Hasegawa returns it back to the Dutch international, drives forward. Could be a chance for her to find an opening, just lays it off towards Coombs. Now Wahabi, floated ball in, short, opts not to go for it, just too much on it for her to be able to contest for, but the shot eventually comes in, flicks past the post. Moan got a glove on that one. Coombs on the half volley. It was a wicked effort from the Manchester City midfielder. Newcastle United feel aggrieved that that went out for a corner kick. They feel as though it clips the post rather than the gloves of Claudia Moan. Either way, Laura Coombs so close to her second of the afternoon there. She could get another opportunity to find the back of the net here. Corner kick to the Sky Blues. Hasegawa has caused chaos so far in this game from these balls in. This time Newcastle managed to clear it away towards the edge of the box. It's a scuffed clearance. Wahabi collects, looks to feed it back in towards the edge of the area, and anywhere will do for Newcastle United, and they could do with it falling into the path here of Jordan Nobbs. Just beaten to it by Kiara Keating. Alert goalkeeping there from City's stopper. Newcastle have a throw in that they're not in any real rush to take. Wardlaw with the ball in hand. Goes down the touchline. Lumsden into the penalty area. Hales there in support. Once more, City come up with the answers. Have to be careful as Pryor played it back towards Keating, who was stood with her heels almost on her own goal line. Newcastle rekindle the possession. Cross comes in. Oh, it's found the back of the net. And maybe a lifeline for Newcastle United. A real pile driver from Freya Gregory from the left of the area. Caught Kiara Keating cold. And out of nowhere, Newcastle United are right back in this one. It's Newcastle 2, Manchester City 3. Well, Murphy fed it in towards Gregory, who just took a touch past Kasparai. I'm not sure if it was a cross, not sure if it was a shot. She celebrated it like she meant it. And Newcastle have a glimmer of hope in this one. Won the difference. And will a few nerves now start to creep into this Manchester City side? Drama here late on at the Gateshead International Stadium. Wardlaw in the possession. And now Newcastle maybe just playing with a little bit more urgency about them. Long ball forward to Nobbs. Can't win it off the head of Greenwood. Will City look to try sit back and stick with what they've got? Or try find another goal to attempt to put this one beyond all doubt. Mannion has to be careful and does well to turn away from Miedemar. Up towards halfway. Crunching challenge from Pryor. Moan clears it up towards halfway. Lumsden was underneath it, flicks it on as well. Hales chases, beats Greenwood to the punch. Can she get a shot away from the edge of the area? Looks to have her shirt tugged there. The referee, Stacey Fullix, agrees. And this will be a yellow card shown to the City captain, Alex Greenwood. So she will have to tread on thin ice for the final 6 or 7 minutes of this one, as her side looks to hold on to this 1-goal advantage. What an opportunity for Newcastle here to create some more chaos inside that penalty area. The referee, Stacey Fullix, just ensuring that the wall is standing when she put that spray down moments ago. Looks as though it's going to be Lumsden to strike this one left-footed. Nobbs offering the option as well. It will take a spectacular effort to beat Keating from here. It is Lumsden. It is over the crossbar. Keating never seemed too worried as that left the boot of Beth Lumsden, the substitute. She hit it well, just a little bit too much on it. Didn't get the dip it desired and goes behind for a goal kick to Manchester City. Only one thing on Beth Lumsden's mind there, and it was a wicked effort. Just a little bit too much lift on it. What a moment that could have been for Beth Lumsden. She's loved up here in the northeast. Started her career down at Oxford United. That's where she signed for Newcastle. She puts Greenwood under some more pressure here. Hale's helping out as well. Cool as you like from Keating to find Greenwood, and just look at how Manchester City managed to play their way out of danger once more. Well, both of these sides are seemingly experts in scoring goals in the last 5 minutes of games. Both of them did so last time out. City to beat Liverpool, where Newcastle United rescued a point against Bristol City in the dying embers of the game. How Newcastle United will love a goal in this one. However, they give away the possession. Chance for City to wrap this one up. Here's Shaw, edge of the area. Miedema looks to hit one, does hit one, straight into the arms of Claudia Moan. Well, it was Benny who collected the possession there for Manchester City. Drove forward, fed it into the path of Miedema, but eventually Moan makes a pretty routine save. That may just give her the confidence boost that she needs after that earlier error, which led to City's third. Keating just eats up a few seconds before Hales applies the press. Rolled up towards Pryor, whose goal is now the difference in this one. City now in the possession, just looking to add a little bit of gloss onto the result, or maybe just looking to avoid any late hiccups, which would see Newcastle take a point in the group stage. Miedema there. Clever play from the City forward. Just initiates a contact before going to ground. Deanna Cooper just having a word with the referee there. City have committed bodies forward here. A signal of their intentions may be that they won't rest on their laurels. They fancy another one. Newcastle United will meet Everton next. However, that will be a more or less meaningless game for the Magpies should the score stay like this. And they needed a win today to keep any hope of qualification alive. The City swing the ball into the middle, flicked across goal. A goal here would surely seal it. Miedema looking to do so. Deflects kindly into the arms of Moan, who did well to gather it after a wicked bounce right in front of her. And straight away looks to launch a counter-attack. Manchester City will meet Nottingham Forest in their final group stage game. Just a reminder that only first place qualifies for the knockout, so still plenty to play for from a Sky Blue perspective. As Becky Langley watches on, arms in pockets, but surely she will see plenty of positives in this one from her side. Wahabi deflects off of Murphy for a City throw. Wahabi, no real rush to take it, but will have to be careful after being shown an earlier caution. Opts to go back towards Greenwood, who again, bit of a risky back pass there. Not too much power on it. Hales was lurking. Keating had to be careful. In the end, did just enough to nick it off the boot of Hales, who would have been through onto an open net there. But now it's City who launch an attack forward. Greg just tugs the arm of Bunny Shaw, but can't stop her. Wicked ball across goal. Wahabi can't get onto the end of it. Lightning counter-attack there from City, but again, just couldn't force Moan into making any sort of save. However, they won't mind Newcastle United having the possession down at this end of the field. Here come Newcastle. However, the touch from the goal scorer of their second, Gregory, not the best, but does well to win a free kick. We approach the 2 minutes of added time, so 2 minutes for Newcastle United to get anything out of this game. They're at the wrong end of the pitch if they're going to do so, though. Manchester City do well to apply the press and force the ball all the way back to Claudia Moan. The ball breaks. Here's Nobbs. Options left and right. Switching it out towards Murphy. Good touch from her. Takes it past one. Looks to hit one from distance. Oh, it's found the back of the net. And out of nowhere, Newcastle United rescue a point here. And what a finish that is from distance. The WSL 2 side have been in this game, and it looks as though City's quality would eventually see them to victory. But the never say die attitude from Newcastle United and Emily Murphy, enough for them to rescue a point in the closing stages. A crisp effort from Emily Murphy, goes in off the post. Newcastle United 3, Manchester City 3. Surely we won't see another twist and turn in this one, will we? A real hammer blow to Andrea Jeglert's side, who will have work to do if they are to qualify. They're looking to now find a winner. 3 absolute worldies from Newcastle United as the ball's put back into the middle here. Bunny Shaw underneath it, heads it goalwards, lands wide. Goal kick to Newcastle United, and now they may just take the time to eat up a few minutes. Goal kick, which Moan will take. Long ball forward. Bit of head tennis goes on. City win the possession via a throw-in. We're now into additional time of the additional time here at the Gateshead International Stadium. Can either side find a winner? The referee, Stacey Felix, looks at her watch. Opts not to blow her whistle now, but Wahhabi, you feel, needs to hurry up here if her side are going to find a winning goal. But they have run out of time, and a sensational comeback from Newcastle United. They took the lead early on with a blistering effort from Lois Joe. Emily Murphy gets the plaudits after she equalised late on. It was a Freya Gregory goal which got them back into it to bring the scores back to 3-2 after 3 quick-fire goals from Manchester City. The first from Laura Coombs on the brink of half-time. The second from Hasegawa to fire her side into the lead. And then Gracie Pryor nodded home after an absolute calamitous header at the back post where Moan came to punch, couldn't manage to do so. It looked as though her side was set to take the points. However, Newcastle came back. And with almost the last kick of the game, Emily Murphy put it in. And now, well, but what an effort from Becky Langley's side. Both head coaches now just issuing a few instructions to their side, and City will be deflated after that. Newcastle will be overjoyed to have an opportunity here. And who may put the hand up with what's to come? Emily Murphy just checking that list of the head coach. A round of applause from Becky Langley as she sends her side back out there. They'll have the momentum here as both teams just begin to march towards that halfway line. The all-important coin tosses. Stacey Phillips looks as though it signals that Demi Stokes won that one. She's chose the ends which they will play towards. And how are your nerves? Not too sure anyone expected that we were heading for this finale. Test of a goalkeeper's resolve. Neither have been first choice for their sides in the last couple of weeks. Kiara Keating and Claudia Moan both sprung into first team action here. Who will be the hero? And what a result this could be for Newcastle United as we approach the penalty shootout. Drama at the Gateshead International Stadium. Hales to take first. Hands on hips. Delay tactics maybe from Kiara Keating. Bounces around on the goal line. The referee, Stacey Phillips, just making sure everything is in order. Newcastle to take first, and history does suggest that the team who takes the first penalty might have the slight psychological advantage as Hale steps up and makes no mistake. Newcastle strike first in the penalty shootout. Hales with a confident run-up, a confident finish. Keating goes the wrong way. First blood to the Geordies. Keating hands the ball over to Kirsten Kasparai. On as a substitute. And tasked with pulling her side level in the penalty shootout. Mo makes herself look big. It is Kasparai, and it is 1-1 in the shootout. A bullet of a penalty into the bottom corner. And despite Claudia Moan guessing the right way, couldn't get anywhere near it. And it's all square after one penalty apiece in the shootout. The former Manchester City defender, Aoife Mannion, next to take the spot kick for Newcastle. She's been there and done it on the biggest of stages. Former Manchester United and Manchester City player, now for Newcastle, steps up, and you do not stop those. Right into the top corner. Keating may have got a fingertip on it, but couldn't do enough to keep it out. An assured, confident penalty there from Aoife Mannion to put her side back into the lead ahead of Manchester City's second penalty. The ever-reliable Yui Hasegawa scored City's second in this one. Has a chance from the spot to square things up in the shootout. And she makes no mistake. Hits the roof of the net. A confident, assured finish from Yui Hasegawa. Not sure any goalkeeper in the world would have had a chance of keeping that one out. Rifles it into the roof of the net. 2 apiece. As the nerves may continue. Beth Lumsden's turn. Places the ball on the spot. Again, just maybe a few more mind games there from Keating. Just taking a bit of time to get back on the goal line. Lumsden, hands on hips. Right-footed. Never in any doubt. Waited for Keating to show her arm. Went down to her right. Lumsden slotted it to her left. Fantastic penalty from the Newcastle forward. And again, it's the Magpies with the advantage. And here's a player. Many put their house on scoring this one. 4 goals already this season for Bunny Shaw. The prolific Manchester City number 9 to pull them square once more in the shootout. And almost Moan gets a glove onto it. It just squeezes under the palm of the Newcastle United goalkeeper, much to her despair. How big of a moment could that be? Bunny Shaw's penalty, not hit with the conviction that we've seen so far in this shootout, but she doesn't mind. It finds its way into the back of the net. And so far, it's been a perfect shootout. Emily Murphy, whose late effort put Newcastle into the penalty shootout, and her latest effort also makes no mistake. Cool as you like, strokes it into the bottom corner. Keating went the wrong way. 4 out of 4 for Newcastle. Alex Greenwood, 105 caps for England. She's been there and done it on the biggest of stages. Can she pull her side square once more? Newcastle piling on the pressure in the shootout. Greenwood hits it. Moan almost gets there again. It squeezes in by the post. Agony for Claudia Moan. Pounced across to her left, but just couldn't do enough to keep the ball out. She hit it strong, Alex Greenwood, and in the end it was just too much. And Manchester City also go 4 from 4. Speaking of experience, how many changing rooms have Alex Greenwood and Jordan Nobbs shared on opposing teams this afternoon as Nobbs steps up right-footed, almost catches Keating out, but again maybe just waits for the Manchester City goalkeeper to dive to her right, puts it down the middle, and Newcastle have hit 5 out of 5, and now the pressure is really on Manchester City. They need to score this next penalty kick. It's Vivian Miedemar who marches across to take it for Andre Jeglert's side. A wealth of attacking prowess in this City side. But Miedemar, can she do it with the pressure on? Or will Claudia Moan be the hero? It is Miedemar, never in doubt, from the Dutch international. Cool as you like, strokes it home, and we're heading to sudden death in the shootout. Perfect concentration from Vivian Miedemar. Well, we've seen Freya Gregory score a spectacular effort in this one to reduce the deficit before Newcastle equalised in the shootout, off the crossbar and into the back of the net. And she wheels away in celebration like she meant it to go in off the underside of the bar. Cool as you like. A high-risk play, but when you put a penalty kick there, it makes it nigh on impossible for a goalkeeper to save. And now all the pressure once again on Manchester City. Leia Wahabi needs to score to win the shootout, or to stay in the shootout rather, or Newcastle will win the shootout. Moan again looking to be the hero. Wahabi steps up, left-footed. Moan almost gets there, off the post and in. And Manchester City stay in the shootout through the skin of their teeth. Agonisingly close there for Claudia Moan. I'm not sure if she pushed it onto the post. Relief for Wahabi. Hands on the head moment for Claudia Moan. She's come so close to so many of these penalties. However, now it is Demi Stokes who's tasked with piling that pressure back on her former side once more. Stokes against Keating. Stokes just taking the time over the run-up. Slots it to the keeper's left, and Keating makes a save. And gives her side the upper hand for the first time in the penalty shootout. Demi Stokes, a former Manchester City player, is the first to make an error in the shootout. And after 6 perfect penalties, Newcastle finally miss one and afford the chance to Manchester City to win the shootout. Laura Blinkilde-Brown, how are your nerves? Claudia Moan once more makes herself big on the goal line. Blinkilde-Brown hits it and wins the shootout for Manchester City. What drama we've seen here at the Gateshead International Stadium. Muted celebrations from Manchester City after Blinkilde-Brown fires it home. And what a game we've seen. 3-3 after 90 minutes. And after 6 perfect penalties from Newcastle United, it was Demi Stokes who saw her effort saved. Keating gave her side the advantage and the chance to Laura Blinkilde-Brown to be the hero, which she duly was. And heartbreak for Becky Langley's side. They pushed Manchester City all the way, divisions apart, worlds apart, some could argue. But the most dramatic of comebacks, the celebrations halted just short as they lose in the penalty shootout. Manchester City, their blushes are spared as they shake hands with the devastated Newcastle United players. But what a game of football we've seen here. And the opening goal was almost a metaphor of things to come as Lois Joel gave Newcastle United the opener early on with 3 quick-fire goals either side of her times from Coombs, Hasegawa and Pryor. So it ended 3-3 in the end after 2 late goals from Newcastle United. However, on the penalty shootout, Blinkilde-Brown is the hero. 3-3 after 90 minutes, but Manchester City wins 7-6 after the penalty shootout. Well, I want to have an ear in that conversation from the Manchester City coaching staff. Not too sure that they'll be overjoyed with the result that they eventually got as Newcastle's players and staff make their way across towards the fans on the far side of the field. What a valiant effort it was as Emily Murphy, in dramatic style, pulled the scores level at 3-3. They fell just short in the penalties, but just look at what the performance means. They've not quite clicked so far this season, Newcastle United. You do feel as though this could be the start for them as Manchester City's players and staff applaud their travelling support who've made the journey up from East Manchester. They got the job done in the end. However, muted celebrations. Ciara Keating there saving the penalty, which gave Blinkilde-Brown the opportunity to win it, which she took. Keating and Alex Greenwood just in conversation. Those travelling City fans will make the journey back home with a smile on their face. And what a game of football they've seen this afternoon as well. Here is the penalty shootout. Hero Ciara Keating make her way in across to those supporters as City eventually make their way back towards the tunnels. As a few of the substitutes for Manchester City just go through a few cool downs as Ciara Keating signing the autographs. She signs off a Manchester City victory in the shootout, and it was a shootout where it was always looking like the keepers were going to come out on top, and Claudia Moan came also close to keeping a number of Manchester City's penalties out. She got a glove on a couple of the efforts from the Sky Blues. However, it was Ciara Keating who came in clutch when she was needed most. After 6 penalties, she came up with a stunning save down to her left. And in the end, it was her side who won the shootout as she makes her way across to the other side of the field where the tunnel is situated. Newcastle, their squad, with a few smiles on their faces as Emily Murphy and Kiara Keating share an embrace. What a battle it was between attack and defence here. Emily Murphy and Shawnee Hales making a difference when she came on off the bench. A real handful up front, Shawnee Hales. Made no mistake in the shootout either. But it just wasn't enough for them to squeeze home to victory in a game that not many people expected Newcastle to compete as well as they did. Crowd of supporters there just gathered to try keep a glimpse of their heroes. Again, Shawnee Hales, almost the hero. But again, reasons to be encouraged for those Newcastle United supporters. They're still yet to see a win at the Gateshead International Stadium after it became their home ground at the beginning of this year. However, I feel as though they will be going home, feeling as though they've got their money's worth out of their admission fee this afternoon. 6 goals before the shootout, 7-6 on penalties. Again, full of drama, full of shocks. And from a Newcastle United point of view, full of absolute screamers to see them rescue a draw. The pick of the bunch was probably the first from Lois Job. That's taking nothing away from the efforts of Freya Gregory and Emily Murphy. The most dramatic of styles, Murphy squeezing her effort in off the post in the last minute of the game. Around 8 minutes or so after Freya Gregory from the left-hand side with an absolute rocket into the top corner to pull herself within 1. Those Newcastle United fans staying behind just to show their appreciation for their side. All smiles from Emily Murphy as Demi Stokes makes her way down the tunnel. She was the one who unfortunately missed the penalty. We see also too many times in shootouts, it's always heartache. Margaret Sigarek, who was valiant at the back all afternoon, again didn't have it all her own way. The Polish international had a bit of an injury scare in the early stages as well, but recovered well. Again, those Magpie supporters just showing their appreciation to the side who, well, what an effort from them. Selfies taken, autographs signed as they leave. Maybe with something to smile about at the end of this one. Said on commentary before kick-off, it was maybe anticipation rather than expectation for the Geordies. As Emily Murphy, again, just doing her best to get across through all those supporters. So it's finished here at the Gateshead International Stadium after a valiant Newcastle effort. 3-3 after full time, but on penalties, it was Manchester City 7, Newcastle United 6.